Four bright futures were abruptly extinguished on a chilling November night at the University of Idaho. On that fateful evening, a horrifying event unfolded that would leave a permanent scar on the university and the wider community. Kaylee Goncalves, Madison Mogan, Xana Kernadle and Ethan Chapin became the victims of an unthinkable act of violence, their lives brutally cut short in their prime. The date of this grievous event was November 13, 2022. As news of the killing spread, a wave of shock and disbelief swept through the campus. The academic oasis, usually a place of learning, growth and camaraderie, had been transformed into a chilling crime scene. The community, usually bustling with the youthful energy of students, was blanketed in a heavy silence, the air thick with grief and fear. The response from the university and the community was immediate and heartfelt. Vigils were held, tears were shed, and stories were shared in memory of the victims. The university administration, staff, and students came together, united in their sorrow and their determination to support each other during this time of unimaginable loss. The city of Moscow, Idaho rallied around the university, offering condolences and support, showing the strength of the community in the face of adversity. But as the initial shock began to subside, it gave way to a growing sense of unease. Questions began to swirl. Who could commit such a heinous act? And why? The hunt for answers would soon lead investigators down a path filled with unexpected twists and turns. As the investigation progressed, it would reveal a suspect who, on the surface, appeared unassuming, but beneath that veneer hid a disturbing reality. This gruesome act would soon unravel a tale of mystery, intrigue, and a suspect with an unsettling alibi. As the community mourned, the wheels of justice began to turn, setting in motion a manhunt that would span thousands of miles. The investigation into the Idaho University murders began with a chilling discovery at the crime scene, a knife sheath. The DNA found on this sheath was a near-exact match to one individual, Brian Kohberger. This was the first thread that would unravel the mystery of the perpetrator. Kohberger, a criminology major, was not initially on the radar of the Moscow Police Department. It was the DNA match that landed him squarely in the crosshairs of the investigation. But how did a student, studying criminology no less, become the prime suspect in a quadruple homicide? The answer lies in the relentless pursuit of justice. The DNA evidence was pivotal, yes, but it was just one piece of the puzzle. Investigators left no stone unturned. They seized items from Kohberger's apartment, including a black glove, a stained pillow, and receipts from Walmart and Marshall's. Possible hair strands, a computer tower, mattress covers, and an Amazon Fire TV stick were also part of the trove of potential evidence. The manhunt for Kohberger stretched over 2,500 miles, all the way to Pennsylvania. It was there, far from the quiet town of Moscow, Idaho, that he was finally apprehended. The long arm of the law had reached out across the country to pull him into custody. But the apprehension of Kohberger did not mark the end of the investigation. Far from it. The murder weapon, the knife that matched the sheath found at the crime scene, was still missing. The search for it continues to this day. Despite the mounting evidence against him, Kohberger maintains his innocence. His alibi? A solitary drive on the night of the murders. His attorneys argue that he often takes these drives alone, making it impossible for him to provide a specific location or witness for his whereabouts on the fateful night. But even as the suspect was apprehended, the perplexing question remained: what was the motive behind these heinous crimes? Brian Kohberger, a criminology major and a graduate student, was now in the spotlight, but his alibi raised more questions than it answered. Brian Kohberger wasn't just any student. He was a criminology major at Washington State University. His academic pursuits were steeped in the study of crime, its causes, and its consequences. It was a chilling irony that he was now the primary suspect in a case that could very well become a topic in his textbooks. His alibi was as puzzling as the man himself. He claimed to have been on a routine drive during the time of the murders. A drive with no specific location, no destination, and no witnesses. His attorneys defended this alibi, stating that these solitary drives were a common pastime for Kohberger. But in a case as grave as this one, an alibi that week only fanned the flames of suspicion. But the most damning pieces of evidence were the knife sheath found at the crime scene and Kohberger's DNA. The two were said to be a near-exact match. This scientific clue was a glaring red flag pointing towards Kohberger's involvement in the crime. Despite having a suspect in custody, the murder weapon was still missing. The absence of this crucial piece of evidence left a gaping hole in the investigation, casting a long shadow over the proceedings. With a suspect in custody but a murder weapon still at large, the case was far from being closed. In the digital age, where information spreads at an unprecedented rate, the case sparked a wave of online speculation and false accusations. The murders of the 4 University of Idaho students became a hotbed for armchair detectives across social media platforms, each with their own theories and accusations. The public's reaction to the case was overwhelming, to say the least. Social media was rife with posts and videos discussing various theories, some plausible, others far-fetched. But it wasn't just harmless conjecture. The line between speculation and accusation became dangerously thin, leading to innocent individuals being dragged into the fray. One notable incident involved a University of Idaho professor. A social media user falsely accused the professor of being romantically involved with one of the victims and conspiring to commit the murders. The allegation, devoid of any substantial evidence, was a glaring example of how public interest can sometimes take a dark turn. The professor, understandably distressed by the false accusations, took legal action against the accuser. This incident underscored the dangerous consequences of unchecked speculation and the spread of misinformation online. The Moscow Police Department, inundated with over 19,000 tips from the community, issued a warning against spreading rumors and misinformation. While public interest in true crime can sometimes aid investigations, it also has the potential to hamper them. The case highlighted a broader issue, the responsibility of social media companies in curbing false accusations and misinformation. Experts suggested that these platforms should shoulder some of the responsibility for preventing the spread of baseless accusations that can damage lives and impede investigations. As we delve deeper into 2024, the case of the Idaho University murders remains a chilling enigma. The gruesome tragedy that unfolded at 1122 King Road continues to send shivers down our spines, and as we stand today, the quest for justice is ongoing. While we await justice for the victims, the Idaho University murders serve as a grim reminder of the darkness that can lurk beneath the surface of ordinary life.